You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion series. If you're new here, Keep Canada Weird is the venue in which my pal Aaron Airport and I seek out and explore the offbeat news stories that caught our eye over the past week. In tonight's episode, which we recorded on the evening of Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, Aaron and I are forced to question the personal boundaries we set for ourselves. We're going to discuss a series of unwanted hugs being offered on Prince Edward Island. We'll hear about the theft of a massive feather from Guelph, Ontario. We're going to run in fear from coyotes in Cape Breton. And we're going to pass on the one chip challenge. So let's get into it. Handsome Aaron Airport. It's time to get down to business, buddy. I don't want to chit-chat. I want to keep the country weird today.
Yeah, there's no time for chit-chat and nonsense and shenanigans in this show. We've got serious business to attend to. We have a mandate. We have a long list of very weird things to talk about.
But although we have no time to chit-chat, I do want to talk about the weather with you. Because we plugged last week the fact that we're having what a lot of people are referring to as our coming out party, our homecoming celebration. We're doing our first live show this Saturday night, which is, I think it's the 17th of September. We're doing it in Sydney on Cape Breton Island, our home island at Cape Breton. But the whole thing's in jeopardy, it seems. Do you know why?
Oh, I can only guess that the animals have something to do with it. The uprising is coming after the live recording of Keep Canada Weird.
Well, if the animals can control the weather, which is a horrifying thought, but it looks like we have like the storm of all storms, hurricane something or other, is on its way to Nova Scotia, and people
You're referring to Hurricane Lee is its name. Please respect the storm. It's Hurricane Lee. It's currently a hurricane in its current state. However, models right now are saying, fashion models, not weather models.
The ones you follow on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah. The ones I harass in their DMs. They are saying that it should be some kind of a post-tropical situation by the time it gets to us. And depending on what part of the province you're in, will depend on how much of it you get. So hopefully we are still a go for Saturday night. So this episode will air. This will go live Thursday,
Friday-ish, probably
Thursday, Friday. So before we record. Yeah. So anyone listening to this episode on Thursday or Friday when it comes out, who's in the area or nearby Cape Breton in Sydney, Nova Scotia, come on down.
Provided the province is still above sea level and not completely flattened by some hurricane.
Listen, we've seen it all in Nova Scotia these days.
Well, we have seen it all in Nova Scotia these days. However, that's not going to keep us from being surprised tonight by how weird the country has been since we last spoke. We have a full card. We have the story of some unwanted hugs in Prince Edward Island. We're going to hear about a stolen feather in Guelph, Ontario, and not just any feather. It's a big one. We're going to hear about how coyotes have been waging war against man, and man has been defending themselves on Cape Breton Island. And then we're going to talk about the one chip challenge. But before we start, how about some voice memos?
I loved starting with voicemails.
We got a bunch of them, and they're great tonight. Especially great because they all call back to prior storylines that have been slowly revealing themselves since prior episodes. Last week we talked about the bees in Burlington. You remember the truck had the
spilled
packages.
6 million bees or whatever, some ridiculous number of bees.
Yeah.
Where were those bees going? We never talked about that.
Yeah. Why that many? I guess just like maybe a beekeeper was moving and it was like a U-Haul.
No. It was an evil villain who had some kind of a dastardly plot to rob a bank with bees.
Foiled by bad roads. Foiled by a pothole.
That's what happens.
Well, I heard from a listener named Trish. We talked a lot about bees and our fear of bees, but I think we forgot to mention something that's on, or at least was on the tip of society and humanity's tongue over the last few years related to bees. Listen to what we missed.
Hello, Jordan and Aaron. It's Trish from Connecticut. And your story about the bees in Burlington, Ontario got me thinking about what happened to the murder hornets in BC in 2020. I thought they'd be killing hundreds by now. I visited BC in May and didn't hear a single attack. What's up with that? Take care.
Trish is mentioning the killer bees, the murder hornets. I think they called them like Africanized bees.
Yeah.
So what happened to those? What happened to quicksand? And what happened to toxic rain?
You mean acid rain?
Yeah, same thing.
Is it?
Well, that's acid is toxic. Well, you know what I mean.
I know. I don't.
Okay, I misspoke.
And I don't know if there is.
I admit it.
Yeah. I just painted you into a corner and forced you to eat your way out. I guess Trish was so riveted by our knowledge of bees in the last episode, and we really proved to Trish, and probably only Trish, that we know everything there is to know about bees, that she had to come to us with this question. She couldn't go to any biologist or scientist of any kind, whoever you would go to about bees. She came to us.
Mm-hmm. So let's try to answer it then.
Let's go for it.
What happened to those bees that were killer bees, murder hornets, Africanized bees? I have no idea. It came and went like a setting sun.
Yeah, I think the answer is in the name, killer and murder. So I think their lust and desire for murder and killing was so strong that they killed each other.
Yeah, you get a flock of murderers and killers together. They're not going to take over the world.
No, because they're so obsessed with killing. And they probably argued all the time about how much do we kill? How do we kill? Who do we kill? Can we just kill? Well, no, we got to stay organized if we're going to kill everybody. So when you have, an animal or human beings, a group of them that are foaming at the mouth to just kill, it's hard to keep them on track. Mm-hmm. And then they end up making mistakes and they end up dying off.
Mm-hmm. Nature has a funny way of sorting itself out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, there's your answer, Trish. We have more listener mail that we'll get to throughout the episode. But let's get to the stories. As I mentioned at the top, are we going to talk about hugs, feathers, coyotes, or the one chip challenge? Where do you want to start this?
I was thinking about this before we sat down to record, because you always ask me, where do you want to start? And tonight's a hard one. Like, I'd love to start with the one chip challenge. I'd love to start with the coyotes. I know very little about the feather.
Okay, let's go with the feather then. Let me tell you about it. It's a unique story that's playing out right now in Guelph, Ontario. It involves crime because it involves the theft of I think somewhere around $15,000 statue made out of copper and bronze, I believe. And we talk about Canadian crime. We talk about Canadian stories. This is one. We also talk about like weird roadside kind of monuments and memorials and such. This is sort of one of those. But what is happening right now is in Guelph, Ontario, police are appealing to the public for information related to a very unusual theft from the University of Guelph campus. It's simply called Feather. It's a 2.4 meter, which is an 8-foot tall bronze statue. It was recently reported stolen from the art gallery on the campus this past Wednesday. Here's how the news shared the story, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So this piece had a pin within it, and it looks like the piece was wrenched back and forth, basically, to remove it.
Severed from its quill, the piece, simply called the Feather, was reported missing on Wednesday of last week.
It's a feather that's kind of perched on its quill, and his work really deals with the intersection of culture and natural history.
Valued in the tens of thousands of dollars, the bronze and copper statue is unique and large.
It's 8 feet tall, so it's quite tall.
The feather is part of the Donald Forster Sculpture Park, one of 40 pieces in the 2-acre property bordering the University of Guelph.
Yeah, it's very unusual.
Guelph police are investigating and say they are likely looking for more than one culprit.
It was quite large and quite heavy, so we believe it would have required at least 2 people and some kind of vehicle to be able to move it from the scene. Certainly, if those who stole it are identified, the charge would be theft over $5,000, the value being well in excess of $5,000. So they could be facing, theft or mischief charges.
The motives of those involved are unknown. However, some on U of G campus believe they have an idea.
Students, frats, probably. Yeah, definitely. My guess is someone's backyard somewhere.
Guelph police say they are hoping someone will come forward with information.
We're hoping because it is such an unusual item. If you see a 9-foot tall bronze feather somewhere in Guelph, it's the one we're looking for. So we're hoping that someone will see the photo and recognize it somewhere and give us a call, and we'll be able to get it back.
The Art Gallery of Guelph just want their feather back.
You can also drop off the sculpture anytime, obviously, and we just appreciate getting it back.
Interesting point at the end where they're interviewing kind of like the curator of the art gallery, I guess, who says you can drop it off, of course. We'd really like to get it back. She goes one step short of saying usually in a story like this, you hear, we'll drop it off, no question, or you can drop it off, no questions asked.
No consequences, we just want it back.
Yeah, she didn't say that.
No.
Because I think maybe the reason for that is for them to, whoever took it, and I'm going to go with what that young guy said. I think it's probably a bunch of teenagers. They're drinking around a giant feather. But when they removed it, they had to break it. They had to wrench it back and forth to slowly loosen the metal to, break the top of the feather off. The thing would weigh a ton. Certainly a bunch of people and a vehicle was involved. What do you think of this?
So it sounds like there's some organization involved in the theft of this. It's not just standing around, oh, let's take the feather. There's at least, we were standing around it. We decided to take it. We then went, got a vehicle and came back to take it. So there's some kind of a group of people. I think when they interviewed one of the students and asked, what they thought, who took it, and they said frats probably. You would always see in 80s movies, there would be always a rivalry between universities, and they would do things to each other. Yeah. Like, oh, I kidnapped their mascot, or we toilet papered their gym, or whatever. So this could be a rival university that decided to take things up a notch and steal their feather. In a 1980s movie style rivalry that has been reunited out of the blue, out of nowhere, caught everyone off guard.
And at the big game, whatever sport that is, the captain of the rival team will whisper in the captain of the University of Guelph's ear, we got your feather, prick.
Yeah. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah. That is a likely explanation. I will say, however, that this is an 8-foot tall bronze statue. Bronze is currently worth, I think, about $3 a pound or about $2.50 a pound. So there is some value in this thing. So it could be what you said. This is just an 80s coming of age film playing out on Keep Canada Weird, or it could be just someone who's I'm going to take that out of the city and sell it for scrap. Who knows?
It's hard to sell something so unique, though, that was clearly stolen.
Yeah, that's true.
So anywhere nearby, you'd have to, I don't know where you'd be able to go to sell this so they wouldn't know, oh, that's the giant feather from the University of Guelph.
That we heard on Keep Canada Weird.
that we heard on our favorite podcast, who's recording live this Saturday night at Cape Breton in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Canada.
That's what will happen.
Yeah.
Whoever has this thing, contact staff members at Keep Canada Weird. We will serve as kind of intermediaries to pass along your apology and to help facilitate the return of the feather statue. If you have it and you want to be involved in returning it and do the right thing, go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact, send us a voice memo, and we'll get the ball rolling.
Just like people come to us for answers about questions about bees, people who have stolen giant feathers also come to us to turn themselves in.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
You know what else people come to us for is to talk about donaires.
Unfortunately, that's what I get cornered about in the streets almost every day.
We talked about the donaire costume a couple times. Since then, it kind of opened up a bit of, I guess, talking about the donaire costume kind of opened Pandora's box. We had listeners write in about how donaires are from, other parts of the world. We had listeners from Nova Scotia be like, hell no, we Nova Scotians invented them. I have a listener from the UK, I believe, named Kate, waxing poetic on our discussion around donaires and doner kebabs. Listen to this.
Hello, Jordan. This is Kate from the UK. I was listening to your last episode, and when you referred to donaire, and I was like, oh, what is this interesting delicacy of which I have, never heard of? And as you went on to describe it, I was like, are you talking about doner kebab? Like, I've never heard it pronounced doner. Is this like the French influence? Like, I've never laughed so hard at a pronunciation. And I very much enjoy it when you continue to say donaire. But mate, here we call it the doner. Anyway, hope Canada's weird. The UK is on fire. Bye.
A common bit of feedback we get for this show is I've never laughed so hard at pronunciation.
That's how it's pronounced. I don't know what to say. It's over here we call it a donaire. We laugh at your pronunciation. You basically call it Madonna.
A doner, and the way she says kebab with the UK kind of accent, I laugh at her pronunciation.
I kept sounding like Madonna to me every time she said it. Because she kept saying Adana.
Adana
kebab.
She's
saying Madonna kebab.
Thanks for sharing.
We laugh
that,
at
Kate.
you laugh at us. Let's never talk to each other again.
No, I enjoyed Kate's voice memo. There was something else she said that I didn't include in the voice memo, but she talked about, or I didn't include it when I just played it there, but she talked about Japanese knotweed, which is an invasive species in Nova Scotia, Atlantic Canada. I don't know if it's all through the country. And it's, I notice it because Japanese knotweed grows near my home, and when I drive on the highway going to Cape Breton, I see it all across the highway. We mentioned it in a past episode ages ago, but Kate had said in where she is in the UK, it's a big problem. In a part of like a home inspection, when you're trying to buy a house and get a mortgage and stuff, they actually look to see if knotweed is growing on your property, and if it is, you can have trouble getting a mortgage.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's really hard to get rid of. It's some kind of plant that, I guess in Japan, where it originally comes from, there's some bug that lives like under the ground that eats its roots and kind of controls it. But that bug doesn't exist here on the East Coast, or in Canada, and probably not in the UK as well. So it just goes crazy. But no time to talk about plants. We got to talk about the weird and wonderful things that have been happening in Canada. We did the feather. I think we should jump into.
This would be a good time to do the coyotes, actually.
Actually, you're right. The animal, because we just talked a bit about, I mentioned knotweed. I guess that's the plant and invasive species uprising. The animal uprising is something we've been documenting since the beginning of Keep Canada Weird, but I dare say it is heating up past the boiling point. We talk global warming to global boiling. The animal uprising is at animal boiling. And the battle being fought in Cape Breton, where we're both from, is, I think, going to be shocking to a lot of people listening to this, and to the people who listen to this and roll their eyes when we express our fear or acceptance of the animal uprising. To those people, I say, this is going to change your opinion, so listen closely. So for the second time in a week, a coyote has been shot and killed in the Cape Breton Highlands National Park after two separate incidents that saw animals behaving aggressively towards people. In one case, a coyote all but tried to attack a cop. In the other case, a different coyote tried to attack a guy on a bike and a guy on a motorbike. Listen to the news report and let's talk about what this means to us in the future of the human race.
For the second time in a few days, a coyote has been shot and killed inside the Cape Breton Highlands National Park after a couple of rare incidents where the animals have been aggressive towards people.
An RCMP officer actually encountered the coyote, witnessed these abnormal behaviors as well, just not showing fear to humans, and was able to dispatch that animal.
But Parks Canada isn't sure if the animal killed last night is the same one that bit a cyclist in the Green Cove area last Wednesday.
I immediately leaned on the horn.
Shettycamp photographer Michel Soucy witnessed a second incident on Friday when he saw a coyote chase after cyclists, then motorcyclists on Mackenzie Mountain. That animal was later shot and killed by Parks Canada officers. For now, a few hiking trails in the Highlands remain closed until at least Friday.
We're asking people not to be walking roadside, basically between the area of where Marianne Falls Road is, all the way up to Blackbrook.
While it's not yet clear what's been behind these latest incidents, Parks Canada is asking anyone else who might witness abnormal coyote behavior to contact them.
So it's all but a shelter-in-place order, is what it sounds like. We're asking people not to be walking roadside. In the news report, they mentioned the two separate incidents that led to the animals being dispatched, which I've never heard.
Yeah, such
before.
A bizarre term for killing an animal.
Yeah, but he even dropped reference to something that happened last week when someone else got bit by a coyote. Likely one of these two coyotes, but things are crazy up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the coyotes are getting very accustomed over time to humans.
Mm-hmm.
Especially tourists this time of year carry a lot of hikers carrying a lot of snacks with them. I'm sure that there's probably maybe some feeding going on there. They relate humans to food,
and we relate coyotes to like pet dogs. And so I think like when you look at them, they look like beautiful dogs. Well, they are beautiful dogs, and it makes you like, I could see why someone may throw them some food and look at them and all this stuff. Like they're not like your pet dogs though. These are pretty vicious animals. And if you're a small person and one of those or a pack of those decided to change your day, they could do it in a hurry. I'm freaked out by the frequency of this. Like in the past in Cape Breton, we'll hear randomly like a story of I think a camper was bit. Someone was like sleeping and they woke up to like a coyote biting their head, I think.
Yeah, through the tent, I think. Or
that was
like
that. And that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Of course, we had the folk singer Taylor Mitchell killed by a coyote in that same area, or by a pack of coyotes. But this is in 1 week, 2 are killed, but one attacked someone the week before. They attacked, approach a cop. This is ramping up.
Yeah, this is classic animal uprising 101 here. The animals are taking over the Highlands. It's a place I like to go. I like to go hiking there, a few times a year.
You sent me a photo of yourself up there, and I was quite worried about you.
Oh, you didn't mention that you didn't warn me about going.
Yeah, I was like, turn on your camera, like go live. And I kept trying to get you to do a live stream. I was just kind of curious what was going to happen.
You wanted to see my death live.
I was just curious what was going to happen. Well, it would be an appropriate way to go out for you.
It would be a great episode for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
A live death. Yeah.
No. Come on. That's not what happened. I wanted you to enjoy your day out there. So I tried to be like, I think what I said, like, oh, yeah, Aaron, like you're going to have a great time. Like, don't worry. Just like enjoy yourself today and live it like it's your last day on earth, I think is what I said. And like eat whatever you want and start smoking again. Like nothing matters after today. I think I said something like that.
Yeah. It was pretty literal.
Well, for people who plan to visit the Highlands of Cape Breton, keep your wits about yourself. And for anyone who, whether it's the Highlands of Cape Breton or anywhere else, if you go into nature, Or I guess in this day and age, if you go into the cities, remember whose world it is and respect the animal overlords.
We're on their property, so ask permission.
That's a perfect segue. You don't even know how good you just did with asking permission. That leads us to the next story. I'm excited to get your take on this because I think if anyone knows what's going on Prince Edward Island, it's you. Prince Edward Island is a small little spit of sand in the ocean that potatoes grow on, a couple people live on, and I don't think anything else really happens there. But over the last couple weeks, there's been a string of curious incidents that investigators believe are connected, and they want to get to the bottom of it. Let me tell you a bit about it. This involves the unwanted PEI hugger. RCMP in Prince Edward Island say they're looking for a man accused of giving unwanted hugs in the Stratford area. Police say a woman was walking on Kinloch Road near the intersection of Stratford Road around 12:15 p.m. on Tuesday. The woman was allegedly approached by a man she did not know, and he tried to hug her. The woman stepped back, but police say the man tried to hug her again. The woman wasn't injured, according to an RCMP news release. Police say 2 other people have also come forward with similar stories. The man is described in the release as being small in stature, in his 60s, and of Asian descent. Police say he was last seen wearing a straw-style beige hat, pants, and a button-up shirt. Anyone with information on the incident is asked to call Stratford RCMP. The hell is going on?
I want to focus a bit on the description of the hugger.
I thought the same thing.
I think you just needed to stop at straw hat. Like
to just say he was wearing pants.
And he was wearing pants and a shirt.
Yeah. I think if you saw this man, the straw hat is what you would remember. Well, first of all, if he tried to hug you, of course that would stand out. His ethnicity is of Asian descent. In PEI, I don't know if that would stand out in any significant way.
And he wasn't naked.
Yeah, he had a straw beige hat.
Yeah.
He was wearing pants. It's like, oh, okay.
And his shirt.
Oh, that man with the pants that I seen earlier today.
So then it's like everybody's looking at, trying to determine who the unwanted hugger is. And anytime somebody's wearing a button-up shirt and pants comes up to them, they're like, oh my God, is that the hugger? And then as they get closer, it's like, I don't see the straw hat. Now all he has to do is take his straw hat off, and he'll be able to get right back into society, completely unnoticed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. Like this guy has the run on investigators. They're nowhere near getting this guy.
They'll never catch him now.
And they made a foolish mistake of showing all their cards. Like he's certainly read this press release, or he's listening tonight, and he's just going to get changed.
Yeah, he just takes a shower and then he's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, who is I can't recognize the hugger anymore.
Yeah. Somebody comes up to you and tries to hug you. You back away, and he dives in for a second hug. How do you handle it?
Now he gets shoved.
He would get shoved?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say something to him?
Yeah, I'd say, don't touch me.
And you say, I just want to give you a hug, sir.
No, I say, no, thanks.
And if he kept approaching you?
I'd just be walking away at that point.
Okay. So, all right. You get out of it. I wonder if he's only, it said 3 women came forward with these stories. So I don't think you're his kind of target demographic anyway. Do you think
I've never been in the same room as him yet, so you don't know that.
That's true.
He may see me in a room and be like, I need to hug him.
3 women.
I don't care what he says.
3 women and 1 delirious man came forward with similar reports.
3 reasonable women who were accusing a man of unwanted touching, and a man who was wearing a collared shirt and denim jeans.
Do you think, like, we have very limited information on what this is all about? Do you think this is sexual, or is this just like a really friendly person?
It borderline sexual. Yeah, it's hard to say because hugs can be innocent, and they can very much be non-sexual. I'm sure I've hugged you a number of times. Those were non-sexual hugs.
Okay, thanks for being clear. I wish you had told me that then.
Well,
I'm
telling you now.
It would have prevented that whole situation, but whatever.
Yeah, but now you know.
Better late than never.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. This very well could be sexual. I don't want to run into the PEI hugger, but I'm sure the Stratford RCMP are going to get their man. Some of PEI's finest over there.
Well, maybe they'll ban hugs in PEI until the case is solved.
You know, they used to have no glass bottles.
That's right.
Sorry, used to have no plastic bottles.
No plastic, yeah, like no cans or anything. It was all glass bottles,
which was awesome. And then they just folded under the pressure of Big Pop.
Mm-hmm. Big Pop, Big Papa.
You go there now.
Big Papa Pump.
BS. Well, let's get on with it. We're not going to solve the PEI hugger, but if anyone out there listening has been hugged in PEI by this man or anywhere else by this man, or received an unwanted hug from anyone.
Yeah, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, what did you say?
Really good to hear. How did you handle it?
And was it sexual, or were they just? Do you think they were just being friendly with you?
Because sometimes, you're at a family reunion, your aunt is hugging you, and oh, sweetie, how you doing? I haven't seen you since you were wearing a straw hat and a collared shirt, buttoned up.
It's been a while since I got an unwanted hug.
Well, you always want hugs.
Yeah, it's true. I've been hugged a lot.
If you ever see Jordan at Value Village, go over and hug him.
Just hug. It won't be unwanted. And I'll hug you right back.
So wanted.
Don't do it, please. A hug to me by a stranger would probably be like putting a really spicy, awful chip in my mouth.
What a transition.
That wasn't
brilliantly woven. I love it.
No, that wasn't a great transition. Let me just back out of that. And instead,
I loved watching your expression while you were doing it, because you were just putting the pieces together in your mind, and
then it just fell out.
And then it just fell out, stumbled out of your mouth.
Okay, I'll try to transition to that story again in a minute. Let's instead listen to what Corey has to say. Corey's a listener from the U.S. who had a big reaction to our discussion around what food would I drive across the world for. Corey reminded me of something that is uniquely Canadian. Listen to this.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. This is Corey. I reside in Michigan, and you were talking about what foods would you drive for. Every year we go snowmobiling, and we head up to Canada, and we head up to Searchmont, and ran across an amazing candy bar that they do not sell in the United States called the Wonder Bar. And we did not make it up to Canada last year or through the COVID, and I've been really missing the Wonder Bar. So this year we planned a week trip to go snowmobiling, and I am going to get my fair share of Wonder Bars. So yeah, I do travel for food. We used to travel to Chicago, which was about a 3-hour drive, just for Chicago-style pizza. We would do that on a Friday night. Leave around 5-6 o'clock, get home back around midnight. So it was always a great time, a lot of fun, and thanks for keeping Canada weird and even parts of the U.S. Have a good day.
You know what? Driving a couple hours for really good pizza, nothing wrong with that. Been there many times, Corey. I never considered.
Corey sounds Canadian. Did you find?
He did. The way he kind of like at times sort of trailed off and just like Corey seems like someone who will just sit and chat.
He had a real Ontario sound to him, I found.
Yeah, he was also driving too, and I don't know if maybe he was just really relaxed. Maybe he's a truck driver or something. I don't know.
We have a really intimate connection with Corey that he feels like he can talk to us even through voicemail as if we're just hanging out in the backseat of his car with him.
I dig that. On a ride with Corey going to Chicago to get some pizza.
But this Wonder Bar, I didn't realize that it was a Canadian bar.
Yeah, you know what? The marketing tricked me because the marketing was like they want this like kind of Swedish thing, like Wunderbar. I don't know why. Yeah, maybe a part of my mind is like, oh, that's probably from like, I don't know, Sweden or something.
Who knows? Yeah, no,
But
I
no,
don't know.
I looked into it. It's a Canadian bar. It's a fantastic bar.
It's really good. Yeah, it's
for
great.
people who haven't had the pleasure. A Wonder Bar is a chocolate bar. It's delicious. Corey, I'm just going to put it out there. If you're still listening, send me your mailing address and I will send you a Wonder Bar and maybe a Keep Canada Weird sticker or magnet or pin. And that's on Aaron and I. And I'm going to get a couple extra bars too because I want one. I haven't had a Wonder Bar in ages.
Me too. Next time I'm window shopping bars. Wonder Bar might be just the one that I pick up.
Now let me think of a Okay. You may pick up a Wonder Bar, but you know what I don't want to pick up is like some food that's so spicy that it's like doing acrobatics to try to keep the thing down. Do you know anything about the one chip challenge?
I knew nothing about the one chip challenge until tonight.
Okay. I did know about it. My oldest son, 10 years old, I think he is the target market for this sort of thing, although they don't specifically say it. But his friends at school and him, they talked about the one chip challenge a lot. And it was like 2 weeks ago. We were walking by a store at the mall, and they had this little thing in the window of the store, and it was just like a single little black bag, and I don't remember what it said on it, but the sign above it was like, "Get your one chip challenge here." Let me read you a bit about it. What is, or I should also say, but we didn't get it. He told me what it was. He wanted it, and I was like, no, I'm not spending $10, I think it was, for a single chip. What is the one chip challenge, you ask? A company called PEI makes a product that is a single chip in a package. The chip is seasoned with Naga Viper peppers and Carolina Reapers, which are two of the spiciest peppers in the world. The challenge that goes along with the single chip in the bag involves eating the single spicy tortilla chip, then waiting as long as possible before eating or drinking anything else. The manufacturer, PEI's website, challenges people to wait as long as possible after the chip before getting a drink or eating ice cream. And they have categories based on how long you've waited. So if you wait a full hour, they call you invincible. If you can't wait a minute, they call you powerless. And of course, participants in this challenge are encouraged to post their reactions or, the whole experience on social media. So what this product is kind of leaning on is that whole thing of like doing something stupid online and filming it. So for $10, you buy the chip, you put it in your mouth while your friend films it, and you're on TikTok going like, oh, it's so spicy. Would you be interested in something like this?
Not at all. No, it's not up my alley. I eat chips for enjoyments. Anything that I eat or drink, it's usually so I can enjoy it. Why would I eat something that's going to be painful to me?
Yeah, this is kind of like sort of monetizing like the Tide Pod challenge or any of those other foolish things that we've talked about that become viral kind of, I don't know, like mass hysteria, social media trends. It
forces customers to do the marketing for the company. Mm-hmm. And that's what I hate about like challenges like this from companies. It's like, we want you to take our product and we want you to do this challenge with our product on social media and, record your reaction and share it around. And it just gets the customer to do the work for the company. Mm-hmm. It's just, to me, it's like, why, like, you want to do it and eat the chip because you enjoy it, then yeah, do that. But you're just falling right into the company's trap by
exactly
online.
And what they're doing is they're actually like, if it's a good product that they want you to go online and share and make a video with or whatever, at least you're getting a good product out of it and they're getting good advertising out of it. But in this case, you're actually just buying the reason to go online and make this video. It's like for $10, you get one chip that is god awful. and you make a video online.
Mm-hmm.
They get everything to gain from it. They've completely found a way to monetize that whole trend, but it doesn't come without risk. I'm glad I didn't get my son that chip that he talked about. But even if he wanted one now, we wouldn't be able to get them. They're pulled from stores all across Canada and all across the United States because someone died last week. A teenager died last week, and his family is blaming the one chip challenge on his death. I'm going to play this short clip, and let's talk about this side of the story.
That was bad. It's a marketing tour de force that's as simple as it is dangerous. Eat a chip.
Oh, God.
Suffer,
Oh, God.
post a reaction online, and then watch the views multiply.
Milk, hurry up.
The company that created the One Chip Challenge offers a warning that its chip is intended for adult consumption, but anybody in the US and Canada can legally buy it.
This is like deliberately saying, let's find different ways for these kids to hurt themselves.
And now the family of a 14-year-old boy outside of Boston is blaming the chip challenge for his death. Harris Wolabaugh reportedly was sent home after eating a chip at school and then died hours later in hospital. While autopsy results are still pending, the medical community is using Wolabaugh's case as a warning that extreme spice can be dangerous.
What it does is it actually activates a receptor that makes you think you have intense pain. So it causes intense pain, but it also is irritant. So it can cause irritation, and it can cause things like it can disrupt the esophagus.
Capsaicin is what gives the chip bite. It's an extract from peppers that Health Canada lists as an animal repellent since it's used in bear spray. It can be consumed, but there's a risk. The 2 peppers that are used in the chip are rated so hot they make a jalapeno pepper seem positively mild. The challenge trend is proving difficult to control, and what makes it most worrisome, there's always another challenge on the horizon.
The way that news report ends, what's most concerning is there's always another challenge on the horizon. Absolutely, there is. I don't know what people will do next, but it's going to be some stupid thing, and they're all going to do it and have reaction videos, and yeah, it's never ending.
And a lot of it too, it's this weird circle of you have on one hand, you have a company that makes this product specifically designed for you to react to it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's again the customer doing the marketing for them. But then you have these social media trenders, these influencers, these people who just want, subscribers and likes and shares and all of these things because that's what they do. They're TikTokers, they're YouTubers, whatever, and they just want to build their channel. They just want to increase their subscribers. So they do these challenges for that reason. At the end of the day, there's no real reason for this thing to be happening. It's like there's no actual reason for this chip to be in existence other than to just have people increase their subscribers, and a company is getting these TikTokers to sell this product for them.
Yeah, but it's not just TikTokers. I've seen celebrities doing the one chip challenge as well. Like in fact, today when I was trying to learn a bit about it, the first video I happened upon was like Tony Hawk, like the famous skateboarder, doing the one chip challenge. And the company is a little bit on the defensive now because of course, this death and the product being pulled. They're offering people their money who have the sealed product their money back, but their stance is kind of like, this is not for kids. It says right on it on the package, like 19 years and over or something, but it's not like cigarettes where they can control who buys it. So I'm sure they knew damn well going into it that everyone is going to use this and get the videos out there.
And nobody's checking for ID when you're buying the one chip challenge at a store.
Hell no. And you don't need ID. That's just like written on the package.
No, that's just a recommendation. It's not a legal requirement.
No, it's probably they're like just one line of defense in case something like this happens. Like if this teenager died from it, then man, they're going to get sued. And I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I'll never doubt the ability to sell like crazy things like this to people and have them buy it. And there's just going to be something else around the corner. And if it's not someone selling it, people will just make it up, like putting the cough syrup on chicken and cooking it, or taking borax because it makes your skin look better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should all
It's just one thing after another, and sometimes they overlap, sometimes they don't. But
we should all go back to the ALS ice bucket challenge. That was a trend that was like ridiculous, but didn't hurt anybody.
no.
Remember that?
And that was for a good cause.
Yeah.
You know, these things aren't for any cause whatsoever. It's just people being morons selling to other morons who are putting it up online for other morons to watch.
Yeah, gosh, it's hopeless. That's our stories for the night. I think we found a good collection from all sides of the country and all sides of the political spectrum. And although that's all our stories, we're not done here. We got something interesting. You flagged me to what you described as the best Apple Podcast review that you've ever seen in your life ever.
It was epic.
Did you say that? You didn't say that. I was putting words in your mouth, but was it actually epic when you found this?
Yeah, I thought it was. It was lengthy, that's for sure. It was the longest review I've ever seen on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, usually. So when you search Keep Canada Weird on Apple Podcasts and subscribe, which you're probably, if you're listening to us, you're probably already subscribed to it. You have a choice to leave a review and rate the show. Usually people use those reviews to like attack the creators and the hosts. Like, you know, you mispronounced this show sucks, that sort of thing. Keep Canada Weird, for whatever reason, we've got, with the exception of the guy who didn't think we covered enough Edmonton stuff, we got a lot of good feedback and good reviews. So I'm happy about that. But this one seems to stand out, and I want to read it. This is from at least the name of the account that left the Apple Podcast review is Logan Schumann. The name of his review is "You Guys Are the Best." And I like that. I can read it, but if you got it in front of you, you're welcome to read it too. Do you have it there?
I can have it pretty quickly, but I mean, the reason that we're reading this is not because he's, you know, celebrating us or anything like that. It connects to the animal uprising.
It's quite literally like a message to us, but instead of sent through voice memo, he left it as a review.
Yeah, exactly. So, the review goes as follows. So it's like, "You guys are my favorite podcast ever. I was told to get this podcast app and I saw your show and it looked great, so I tried it. And every other podcast shows I've listened to have sucked compared to you guys." Easy now. "My two favorite reasons why I love you so much is because of your hatred for Tim's." Okay, great. "And your talk on animal uprising," which I agree with both, by the way. "I just couldn't watch this show without leaving a review. Thank you for keeping Canada weird, and keep going, please. I have a little story if you want to talk about it on the show. Wink, wink." Of course we do. So it's related to the animal uprising. "I think the roaches are coming for us. So last week we rented a cottage without really much know-how on what it was like or what shape it was in, by the way. It was terrible. We showed up at 12 at night and saw the outside, which looked okay. So we walked up to the door and it's locked. So we turn around to get the neighbor. Then we hear a crash inside. So we called, hello? No one answered. So we went to the neighbor's and somehow he had a key. That's creepy.
True.
Then, yeah, well, it depends on the neighbor.
It's also creepy if someone's knocking at your door at midnight, like, we're locked out.
Yeah, you're creepy too, Logan. Easy now. So then he opened it for us and showed us around. We walked into the cottage and gagged from the smell of rotting death and mold. We looked to our side, and on the couch was a mega raccoon crap. We walked into the kitchen and turned on the lights, and thousands of roaches scatter into their hiding places next to the kitchen. Next to the kitchen was the living room, which wasn't as bad as the rest. We saw a sliding glass door and thought, oh, we're upstairs, so there must be a deck. But no, we opened the door to a drop-off, and my brother almost fell out, and we had to stop him before he took his last step. Wow, near death.
Yeah.
Anyway, the neighbor left, and so did we. We went to a hotel in town and left the next day. Thank you for reading if you did.
Oh, I've never really, I've seen cockroaches when I was in the US, like when I was in Florida, I saw one at the airport in Orlando. I've never seen one in Canada.
I've never seen a cockroach, and I don't want to. They look friggin' gross.
Logan's, turning on the light and seeing the crap just scatter, raccoon poop on the couch, a neighbor in there with him as this is happening. Yeah, that sucks. But Logan, I appreciate that review. I said earlier that I offered to send a Wonder Bar to Corey in the US. Logan, if you're hearing this, contact me with a voice memo at nighttimepodcast.com/contact, and I'll get you like maybe a Keep Canada Weird keychain or something so you can tell all the people about what you found on that app that someone has been encouraging you to download. First of all, who is like, you got to download the Apple Podcast app?
Yeah, it's this cool new app that you can get.
And he finally succumbs to the peer pressure. He gets the app, and this is where he ends up.
Like, you know what you need, Logan? The internet. You've got to get the internet. It's got so much information on it.
Well, and here he is.
It can help you with your school projects.
You can leave a review for that place on Airbnb or whatever, so it doesn't happen to someone else. But I think we've done it here, Aaron. Our mission, our mandate, our objective, and our passion is in seeking out and celebrating or rolling our eyes at or cringing at the stories that played out over the last week that kept Canada weird. We did it this week, but we got our work cut out for us. Provided the storm doesn't flatten this province, we'll be doing it live this coming Saturday night at Cape Breton in Sydney. For people who can't attend, if it happens because the storm doesn't kill us all, it will be next week's episode. So even if you can't attend in person, we'll take you there.
You'll have the audio version of the live performance.
But
you won't get the smells and the sights and the tastes.
And the hugs.
And the hugs. Yeah, come get a hug from Jordan, not me.
Anything you want to say or any topics you want to call out for before we put a bow on this thing?
Leave us some Apple Podcast reviews because apparently we will probably read them on the show.
Sounds wonderful. All right. Yeah. Well, Aaron, until next time.
Jordan, until next time.
If you're going to eat a spicy chip, sweet chili heat Doritos are a food I would travel for. Luckily, I don't got to travel far because I got a bag upstairs that I'm about to crack into.
Nah, man. I'm a Cool Ranch guy.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I keep Canada weird tonight, but let us call out to you for even greater support in this mission. If something weird happens in your neck of the woods, or if you want to give opinion or feedback on one of the stories we covered tonight, we want to hear from you. The best way to contact us is by voice memo sent via nighttimepodcast.com/contact. Now, before we wrap up the episode, I'm going to end with some thanks. First, a big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the members of Keep Canada Weird Nation. Next, a big shout out to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, who recently had a baby and provides the intro and outro voiceovers for this series. Congratulations, Unicole. And lastly, but most importantly, a massive thanks goes out to each and every one of you listening to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, Nighttime would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now, on the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers of the premium feed. Kitty, Brooke, and Christy, thank you for your generous support. And anyone else who'd like to support the show, let me tell you a bit more about the premium feed. A premium feed subscription costs only a couple dollars a month, and that money goes to fund the creation of the show. But this isn't just to fund the creation of the show thing. The premium feed gives you the episodes 2 days early, gives them to you ad-free, and gives you access to a full back catalog of Nighttime episodes. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can go premium at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And even if you can't go premium, a great way to help the show is doing something similar to what Logan's friends did in this episode. Tell them about Keep Canada Weird, help them subscribe to the show, and help them help us keep Canada weird. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. But until next time, take care of yourselves, hug your loved ones tight, and let us know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.